get right into the conversation, shall we? BJ Pino is with us and Randy Thomas. We're talking about Citizens Ambulance. Membership drive time is right now. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Wonderful. It's good to have both of you with us here this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Citizens Ambulance Service, of course, such a strong and vital part of Indiana County, and really a historic part of the entire emergency services industry all across the nation. It's a groundbreaker, isn't it?
It is, and it's nice to remind ourselves that we did play a vital role in that development back in the days with Jerry Esposito and Tom Streams and all the other names that come up through the ranks. And the recent article displayed that very nicely to the public as to what role we played in those early years and continue to do so today. And it's very nice to be part of an organization that has such a wide base of professional people. We're very, very proud of the organization from the board of directors on down, and of course the ASMC staff that day to day, EMT and paramedics, just second to none. And these people really deserve our praise. They really do. It's a tough job, and they do a fine job every day.
Randy, I know that you get a chance to work with those folks at Citizens Ambulance all the time, and you probably are just as impressed as BJ.
Yeah, it never ceases to amaze me when I get the opportunity to be out with the crews and to witness how they interact with the sick and the ill and the injured, and how caring and compassionate they are. They truly epitomize the term, caregiver, and providing that care in a variety of different situations, and most of them not very easy. Where we get involved with things, and they do a fabulous job for the citizens of Indiana County.
And you know as well as anybody that when you get into those emergency situations, when the call comes and the ambulance is on the way to an accident scene, to a home, to whatever the incident is which requires your presence, you really have no idea what you're getting into and what you're going to encounter. Yeah. You really have to be able to think on your feet and remain calm under pressure.
Yeah, it really requires that. As I say to everyone when they start, the day you feel comfortable is the day you shouldn't be doing it. Okay, because you never know what you're getting into. You can only get so much information from the 911 dispatchers, and they have to rely on what's provided to them. Just getting to the scene can be an adventure. And in fact, I'd like to remind everybody, please, when you see the lights, see the sirens, due diligence, pull over to the side, give us the room. If you see a unit on scene at a wreck or at any type of scene, please give us a wide berth, and because we have people working around the medic unit and transferring patients in and out of residences where we need to have that space, and it's always dangerous. It's whether it's on a vehicle accident or just a routine call. Yesterday you had the opportunity, we were right across the street here with a vehicle accident. So lots of traffic. So we just ask that everybody pays attention to where they're at and what they're doing, and helps us do our job in a safe manner.
And of course, BJ, when we talk about doing the job for Citizens Ambulance, that requires the proper resources in order to get done what needs to be done and to remain strong and a viable organization. That's what the membership drive is all about.
That's correct. Unless we, as we've talked many, many times, whether it was here on the radio, through the newspaper, or approaching county government, everything, or townships and municipalities we've done over the last 2 years at a really brisk pace in order to bring up the issue that without our sustainable income, a form of sustainable income, it's just not going to be here. And I know that a lot of people get tired of hearing those kinds of things. And I recently had a conversation with a civic leader that I think a lot about. She's a remarkable individual, but she just looked at, when we were talking about membership support, sustainable income, all of this type of thing, and why people are not responding to us. And one of the comments was, well, it's just another crisis. And we as people have just been crisis to death, that it's one thing after another. And I guess there is some truth in that. You could become complacent to
Yeah.
it because of the sensational things that happen to us on a daily basis or what have you. But, I still go back to, I think that folks do have a tendency to want to believe that it's going to be there no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And it is somewhat frustrating. Well, not somewhat. It is frustrating to think that, we're not getting the response that we need. And without that, we have no other alternative but to change the mode of our operation. It's the last thing we want to see happen, but at the same time, we have to live within the means.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a vital public service. I wish that all would start realizing that. I'm not sure what we have to do. I certainly hope it's not going to be what we talked about before, and that is no one's going to pay attention until the ambulance is not going up and down the street anymore. That's a point that we just don't want to get to.
Yeah, absolutely not. And so the membership drive is going on right now.
It is. It is. And some would say, well, it's over. It's never over as far as supporting the organization. We have not found other forms of sustainable income. We're continuing to lobby for Medicaid increases from the Commonwealth. We're continuing to lobby township and municipal leaders so that they too can understand they being responsible for the delivery of emergency services. They need to understand how they can start generating support for us and those types of things. But from the membership standpoint, currently, if we just checked it from date to date, we're currently at 6,400 members approximately, and we're down about 225 from this time last year. And but we do have 83 new members comparatively.
Mm-hmm.
And we also, have a renewal. The renewals are down by over 300 people. Some of that, of course, attrition, where people are no longer with us. But those are not great signs,
No.
especially when we sat here less than 6 months ago saying that we needed to double our membership. The one thing that it is somewhat telling is that in donations this year, we're seeing a increase of about $10,000, almost $11,000 compared to this time last year, even though we have less membership activity,
Yeah.
which means you've got some civic folks out there, civic-minded people, and we have received some substantial donation on top of membership, their personal membership, for helping us sustain the mission.
Yeah.
And I would have to say paying for those that can't. As we talked about that one person on the block of 10 houses, well, they're helping to pay for the other 9.
Yeah.
And that is a real responsible individual. We're extremely grateful for people that are thinking that way.
Absolutely. But then you think of those people that aren't becoming members, and if they would even re-enlist, let
Yes.
alone new enlistments,
Yes.
added to the donations in kind,
Yes.
just think of how much more solid the footing would be.
We would be telling you that we're doing pretty good. Let's put it that way. And I think that one thing that we have to continue to talk about is that, and I'm losing my train of thought for some reason because Randy's over here going like that. What does that mean? I think that we have to remember that donation, membership is all good, but we do have to understand that at some point in time we're going to have to turn that tide and accept the role and responsibility of sustaining public service in this county.
Absolutely. One of the aspects of the conversation has to be the fact that the pressure to respond is more and more because of the opioid crisis. And we have talked before about the issues that Citizens Ambulance has with the opioid crisis and the fact of the lack of reimbursement for the expenses associated with that. That is not slowing down by any means.
No.
In fact, it's increasing and it's accelerating. So just another of those factors that you think about when you consider the financial plight of Citizens Ambulance Service and the need for Indiana Countyans and other counties which also receive services from Citizens Ambulance to step up.
It goes back to when you referred to 911. when someone places that call, we're not sitting there saying, okay, before we decide to turn the key, which on an average costs almost $500 just to turn the key of an ambulance because of the rural environment that we live in and all of the cost involved with that. We don't sit there and say, well, wait a minute, what kind of insurance does this person have? Or who's going to pay us before we leave the garage? That we don't have that ability, nor do we want that. We're there because people are calling us for need, assistance, and help, and we want to do that. But back to if everybody would help us out here. As we currently sit, we're looking at less than a 15% household saturation rate.
Mm-hmm.
Less than 15% of all eligible households in our service area are giving us some form of support through the membership drive. That's not very good.
Yeah, absolutely. So folks want to learn more about Citizens Ambulance, about becoming a member. Maybe they got that letter and they just filed it away somewhere or even threw it away. Maybe now they're reconsidering.
I hope so.
What do they need to do?
All they got to do is exactly what the letter says. Just contact us, submit the form, and let's talk about this. You know, the one negative thing that we've had about, several negative things, but the one was, of course, seeing less coverage, only 9 months of coverage this year, as opposed to the full year, because we're cutting it off at the 2018 mark so that we have a good vision of what's going to have to happen come 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with that. I agree with some of those folks saying, look, I don't mind helping, but it's costing more. It's doing this. Well, the burden should not fall on those 6,000 people. They should not have to brunt the increases. Again, back to what you were saying. If you spread this out across the whole population base, different story.
Yeah.
You might even see this stuff come down, and I would expect it to, because everybody's sharing in that responsibility.
BJ Pino, Randy Thomas, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Todd.
We appreciate it very, very much. It is Indiana in the Morning, presented as always by First Commonwealth Bank here on AM 1160 WCCS and 101.1 FM. Fox News next at the top of the hour. Josh Woodison is in the newsroom after that.